नमस्कार। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar, my dear friends. This is third video on the topic direct path to liberation. Dive deep within and abide in the self. This video starts with the question, how is one to study oneself? Maharshi replies, you can study it only if there are two selves, one which studies and the other which is studied. To remain as the self is to study the self. If you study the Vedas and the Shastras, you may get due respect in the world. Society will then decorate your neck with garlands, read your complimentary letters, give you good food, a great name, and much money. But all these things will be great obstacles for jnana and spiritual discipline. Question, Swami, I do not want anything, just give me liberation. Maharshi, laughing heartily, is liberation a commodity for sale? Have I secreted it any somewhere? Renouncing everything is liberation. Is there anything separate for me to give? Question, can we at least have a glimpse of real self every day? Maharshi, by between sleep and waking, there is a momentary twilight. The waking consciousness begins with the I thought. Just before the upsurge of the I thought, there is a split second of undifferentiated pure consciousness. First unconsciousness, then the light of pure consciousness, then the I thought with which world consciousness floods in. This is the order. The middle state is self-awareness. We can sense it if we are sufficiently alert and watchful. Question, Bhagwan, I have been coming here for the past several years, but still there is no progress. I am just as bad a sinner as before. Maharshi, there are no milestones in this path. How can you be sure how far you have traveled? Why don't you follow the first class passenger? He informed the guard about his destination, closes the door and sleeps soundly. That's all he needs to do. The guard will wake him at the correct station. Question, Bhagwan, all my efforts to abide in the source have proved futile. Maharshi, keep at your practice. There is no need to remind God about his business, which is to keep an eye always on your welfare. One is prone to abandon effort under the mistaken impression that God's grace is absent. But one should not slacken, for God's grace is beyond for God's grace is bound to operate at the right time. Question, Bhagwan, will you graciously bestow self-realization on me? Maharshi, as one inquires for whom is this realization, one's individuality goes, and with that, the delusion that the self has not been realized drops drops off. This alone is the grace of the Guru. The Guru can only dispel the delusion that self is yet to be realized, but to grant self realization is impossible. To pray for the grant of self realization is like asking, give myself to me. Because of the identification with the body, there arises the delusion that I am an individual. That creates the further delusion that the Guru is an individual other than myself. Really, the Guru is not other than myself. Question. Please give me some practice Please give me some practical guidance for self realization. Maharshi, quoting from the Bible, be still and know that I am God. Question. It is stated in the scriptures that the self will reveal itself only to one whom it chooses. Then what is the use of our efforts? Maharshi, the self will draw to itself an aspirant only when he becomes introverted. So long as he is extroverted, self realization is impossible. Many people try to define the self instead of attempting to know the self. Question. What is self realization? Maharshi. People expect something to happen, something to drop from heaven in a flash. It is nothing of the sort. Only the notion that you are the body, that you are this or that will go. You will remain as you are. Question. I feel I have the experience of the self, but my mind does not agree with that. Maharshi. What are these two selves? One objective to objecting to the other. Experience for all is that the self is only one. Question. What is the nature of the self? Maharshi. Abide in the self, free from thoughts, instead of inquiring about the nature of the self. Question. I feel that self realization is no easy thing to reach. Maharshi. Why stultify yourself by anticipating failure in your course? Push on, there you are. Question. After I surrender, will it be possible for me to carry on with my work? Maharshi. Of course, but the thought I am doing it will not arise. Question. If the I thought is not there, how will my duties get done? Maharshi. Whatever you get paid for, you do with indifference. Discharge your family duties with the same indifference that you discharge your office work. The things that come and go in your office don't cause you to worry. Do all your jobs and duties with this same detachment. Question. Difficulties keep coming to me. When will they stop? Maharshi, if you give up the I am the body idea, all your difficulties will fly away. Question. If waking and dream states are not different, can a man realize the self in the dream state? Ramana Maharshi. First realize the self in the waking state and then raise the question. Question. You say that the trinity of knower, known, and knowledge is an appearance and that there is a unity behind it, supporting it. What is this unity? Is it a powerful one? Maharshi. It is an all powerful existence. Question. You have often said, and the books also say, that reality, Brahma, is immobile. Now you say it is all powerful. Does it not then move? Maharshi. Power implies movement. Though reality, Ishvara moves by his power, which is movement. He transcends the moment. He is unmoving beyond movement. Question. Is there no difference between the power Shakti and the powerful Shakta? Maharshi, no, that depends upon your attitude. There is only one truth. Looking at the moment, one calls it power, another settling himself in the sport of the moment calls it unmoving. If the former is activity, the latter is the ground sport or substance force, and substance are inseparable, are indeed two aspects of one and the same truth. Only without the movement of the power, the real substance is not apprehended. Question: what is the true character of power? Maharshi, it is coeval with the eternal reality. It has no existence apart from Him. It is the eternal activity of reality, creating the myriad of worlds. Question: worlds are created and they perish. How can you say that this activity is eternal? Maharshi, supposing all the worlds in course of time are dissolved, still they persist in activity through lying latent. That is to say, power does not perish. What then is this moment? Every moment there is creation, every moment destruction. There is no absolute creation, no absolute destruction. Both are moment and that is eternal. Question. Then shall I take it that power and substance are both aspects of the same truth? Maharshi, yes, but this whole movement, the entire creation, called a play of Shakti, is a formulation of the Lord, a reality. If this form is transcended, what remains is the real form or the real nature. Question. What is the truth that I have to attain? Please explain it and show it to me. Maharshi, what we have to attain and what is desired by everyone is endless happiness. Although we seek to attain it in various ways, it is not something to be sought or attained as a new experience. Our real nature is the I feeling, which is always experienced by everyone. It is within us. And nowhere else, although we are always experiencing it. Our minds are wandering, always seeking it, thinking in ignorance that it is something apart from us. This is like a person saying with his own tongue that he is no tongue. Question: I am now sitting peacefully without the thought I am this body. Is this the state of reality? Maharshi, this state must remain as it is without any change. If it changes after a while, you will know that other thoughts have not gone. Question: what is the way to get rid of other thoughts? Maharshi, they can only be removed through the powerful effect of the inquiry. To whom have these thoughts come? Question: what is the way to see God? Ramana Maharshi, where to see God? First, can you see yourself? If you can see yourself, you can see God. Can anyone see his own eyes because they cannot be seen? Can one say, I have no eyes? Just like this, though seeing is always there, we cannot see God. To give up the thought that we are alien to God is to see God. The first and foremost wonder in this world is the thought I am different from God. There is no greater wonder than this. Question: I have read much of the Vedas and the scriptures, but no self knowledge has come to me. Why is this? Maharshi, self-knowledge will come to you only if it is there in the scriptures. If you see the scriptures, knowledge of the scriptures will come. If you see the self, self-knowledge will shine. Question: how to see the self? Ramana Maharshi replies, everyone says I am. How do we know this that this is true? Do we know this by looking in the mirror or do we know it only after looking in the scripture? Tell me, if the self is something to be seen, there should be two selves, the self which looks and the self which is seen. Would you agree that you have two eyes? Question: no. Mercy. The reality that exists is only one. Then how can there be another self which is to be seen? All are seeing the self everywhere, but they don't understand what a pity, what to do. If the thought I am this body is given up, what is seen is only the self. Question: you have stated that knowledge of the self is very easy. How is this very easy? Maharshi, as an example of direct perception, everyone will quote the simile of the Nelikai, similar to a gooseberry placed in the palm of the hand. The self is even more directly perceivable than the fruit on the palm. To perceive the fruit, there must be the fruit, the palm to place it on, and eyes to see it. The mind should always be in the proper condition to process the information without any of these four things. Even those with very little knowledge can say out of direct experience, I am because the self exists just as the feeling I am. Self knowledge is very easy indeed. The easiest path is to see the one who is going to attain the self. Question: why can't the self be perceived directly? Maharshi, only the self is said to be directly perceived. Pratyaksha, nothing else is said to be pratyaksha. Although we are having this pratyaksha, the thought I am this body is veiling it. If we give up this thought, the self, which is always within the direct experience of everyone, will shine forth. Question: Sri Bhagwan has stated Sri Bhagwan has stated this so question. Sri Bhagwan has stated this so simply, but the thought I am the body does not leave us. Maharshi, it is not leaving you because it is very strong. Question: why and how did that thought come into being? Maharshi, it came into being only through a lack of inquiry on your part. A verse in Kabbalah Navanitam gives the same explanation because its nature is not determinable. The illusion Maya is said to be inexpressible. They are in its grip who think this is mine. I am the body. The world is real. Ocean, no one can ascertain how this mysterious illusion came into being. As to why it arose, it is because of the person's lack of discerning inquiry. If we see the self, the objects which are seen will not appear as separate from us. Having seen all the letters on a paper, we fail to see the paper which is the base. Likewise, suffering only arises because we see what is superimposed on the base without seeing the base itself. What is superimposed should not be seen without also seeing the substratum. How were we in sleep? When we were asleep, the various thoughts such as this body, this world were not there. It should be difficult to identify with these waking and dreaming states that appear and disappear. But everyone does it. Everyone has the experience I always am. In order to say I slept well, I awoke, I dreamed, when unconscious I knew nothing, it is necessary that one exists and knows that one exists in all these three states. If one seeks the self saying, I don't see myself, where can one find it? To know that everything we see is the self, it is enough that the I am the body thought ceases to exist. Question: what is satsang? Maharshi. Satsang means only self-sung, association with the self. Only those who cannot practice that are to practice being in the company of realized beings or sadhus. Question: when does one get the company of sadhu? Maharshi. The opportunity to be in the company of a Sadguru comes effortlessly to those who have performed worship of God, japa, tapas, pilgrimages, etc. for long periods in their previous births. There is a verse by Ken Manwar which points out the same thing. O Lord of the first and last, those who properly start the worship of idols, holy places and sacred waters will meet the Satguru who will tell them the words of truth. Only he who has done plenty of actions performed without any thought of a reward or consequence, niskamya karmas in previous births will get abundant faith in the Guru. Having faith in the Guru's words, such a man will follow the path and reach the goal of liberation. Question: we are living in a place where there is no sadhu. What can we do? We cannot have the darshan of sadhus every day. Maharshi, what to do? Pictures, names of God, and pujas have been formed for this purpose. Only those who have attained the grace of God will get the grace of the Guru. Only through the grace of the Guru can one attain the grace of the self which is within. That alone is liberation. The study, the state question. The state of samadhi, experience of the self has not yet come to me. Ramana. That state does not come or go. It is our own ever existing natural state. Question: can I take up the mental attitude I am Brahma reality? Maharshi replied: if you assume I am Brahma, you will receive many blows. Why? Because everything is already Brahma. Why should it be assumed? Is it necessary to assume I am a man? If the thought I am the body is there, then it is necessary to assume no, I am not that. Question: is the appearance of the differentiated universe true or untrue? Maharshi: it depends on how we regard the terms true and untrue. If we look at Brahma, there is no universe. Question: then why does the universe appear? Maharshi: appear to whom? The universe does not say I am. Is there any evidence to say that the universe appears? To whom does the universe appear? Question: to me. Maharshi: who are you? Find out who you are. Then afterwards tell me if there is a universe. Question. Because I have a wife and children, I have many problems. I cannot escape from them. Maharshi. The outer mundane activities cannot do anything to you. Only the inner mundane activities must be given up. Question. This only lasts for 5 minutes, then it gets changed. Maharshi. After keeping quiet for some time, this kind of thought must go. One can attain the bliss of reality only when the mind becomes pure and humble like a child's. Question. Bhagwan, I want to attain liberation. For that you alone are my Guru. I do not seek anyone else. Kindly bestow your grace on me. Maharshi, the attainment of liberation is not some new achievement. We are all in the form of liberation because we forget this and instead wrongly think, I am this body. Many thousands of thoughts arise in wave after wave and conceal what we really are. Liberation will only shine when this thought, I am the body, is destroyed. Question. How is silence possible when we are engaged in worldly transactions? Maharshi, when women walk with water pots on their heads, they are able to talk with their companions while all the time remaining intent on the water above. Similarly, when a sage engages in activities, they do not disturb him because his mind abides in reality. The difficulty is that people think they are the doer. It is a mistake. It is the higher power which does everything, and people are only a tool. If they accept what position they will be free from troubles. Otherwise, they code them. Do your work without anticipating its fruits. That is all that you should do. Question. Why is the world in ignorance? Mercy. Let the world take care of itself. If you are the body, then there the gross world appears. If you are the spirit, everything is just spirit. Look for the ego and it vanishes. If you inquire, ignorance will be bound to be non existent. It is the mind which feels misery and darkness. See the self. Question. If one always remembers the self, will one's actions always be right? Maharshi, they ought to be. But such a person is not concerned with the right or wrong of actions. His actions are God's and therefore right. Question. In this pure atmosphere, Question. In this pure atmosphere with Bhagwan at Arunachala, it is easy to practice, but in towns it is difficult. Maharshi. When you see the true self, is it not a pure atmosphere? Let the body think what it wishes. But why should you think so? It is very good if you can just keep quiet without engaging in any other activities. If that can't be done, what is the use of being quiet? Even if you are obliged to be active, do not give up your attempt to realize the self. Question. Is solitude necessary for vichara inquiry? Maharshi. Solitude is everywhere. The individual is always solitary. Our business is to find it within, not to seek it outside ourselves. Nearly all human beings are more or less unhappy because they do not know the true self. Real happiness abides in self knowledge alone. All else is fleeting. To know oneself is to be always blissful. Solitude is in the mind. A person might a person might be in the midst of the world and yet maintain serenity. Such a one is in solitude. Another man may stay in a remote forest and still be unable to control the mind. He cannot be said to be in solitude. Those attached to desires are unable to attain solitude wherever they are. Where- Whereas those who are detached are always in solitude, even if they are engaged in work. When work is performed with attachment, it is a cycle. Solitude is not only to be found in forest, it can also be had in the midst of worldly occupations. Question: but how can I help another with his problems? Maharshi: what is this talk of another? There is only the one. Try to realize there is no I, no you, no he, only the one self which is all. If you believe in the problem of another, you are believing in something outside the self. You will help him best by realizing the oneness of everything rather than by outwardly activity. I end this video here. Next video number 4 on the topic the direct path to liberation is abide in the self or dive deep within. Fourth video will start with the question: is it necessary to give up worldly desires?